Okay, so we have the quadratic function x squared plus 14x minus 32, and we can solve that one of three ways. We can either use the quadratic formula completing the square or the factor method, and in this case we are going to use the factor method today for this lesson. We have to remember we have the parent function ax squared plus bx plus c, a being the coefficient of the squared term. In this case we have no number in front of it, but that means there is a 1, so 1 would be our a. B would be the coefficient of the x to the first term. In this case, it'd be 14. And C is always our constant or non-variable term, which is negative 32. Remember, this negative symbol does apply to the 32, so negative 32 would be our C. First thing we want to do is we want to draw out our diamond. And on the top of our diamond, in the top part, we always do C, in this case negative 32, times A, which is 1. Negative 32 times 1 is, of course, just negative 32. And then on the bottom part, we would put b, which in our case is 14. And then what we have to figure out is what are two numbers that would multiply to negative 32 and add to positive 14, which in our case would be 16 and negative 2. Once we've got our diamond all filled out, math is pretty much completed, but now we want to write it in factored form. So we draw our two pairs of parentheses. First thing we always have to put is our variable. In our case it's x, which goes first in both parentheses. And then we have to fill it in with our two factors. We have 16 and we have a negative 2. In between the x and the 16, since 16 is a positive factor, we have plus sign. And then our factors are x plus 16 and x minus 2. If we wanted to check and make sure this worked out, we could use the FOIL method. X times x times negative 2, which of course is x squared minus 2x, and then 16 times x and 16 times negative 2. 16 times x is positive 16x, and 16 times negative 2 is negative 32. Remember, a positive times a negative is always negative. We'd want to combine like terms, negative 2x and positive 16x being like terms. Keep our x squared. Negative 2x plus 16x is plus 14x. And then we keep our negative 32. These are not like terms, so we cannot combine them. Notice that our functions match x squared plus 14x minus 32 with x squared plus 14x minus 32. So we did, of course, factor this correctly, which again, x plus 16 times the quantity x minus 2.